the Man Space Podcast. Take it away, fellas.
Thank you, voice girl, and welcome to another edition of the Man Space Podcast. Now, this is the voice of Russ, and with me, as always, he's not here. Well, last week I told you he was out running because he had got a raccoon drunk. Well, he's still doing it. There's been footage of him with a squirrel this time, getting a squirrel drunk. I don't know what this guy's got going on, but we'll find him soon and we'll get some breaking news and figure out what's going on with him. But in the meantime, Manspace Nation, I'm not alone. I do have a special guest, but I want to ask you guys, what would you do if you've been lied on? And I'm sure that every single one of you have had that happen to you, whether it's a friend, a so-called friend, or a foe, maybe even a sibling. But what would you do if that's your boss? What would you do if that's your peers? Well, my guest today had all of that happen to her. And see, today's story is a story of resilience and courage and standing up in the face of adversity. You see, my guest today, she's an entrepreneur, she's an author, a lieutenant, a trainer, a motivational speaker, a wife, and a mother whose life has been defined by courage. She went from enlisting in the Army straight out of high school and served 3 decades in the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department, where she became a respected leader, mentor, and an advocate for her community. But then there was corruption and retaliation that tried to silence her, but she stood even stronger, turning her adversity into impact. And now she's the author of the book, Betrayal and the Badge, and she's also a business owner and the voice for integrity and leadership. Manspace Nation, get ready for wisdom, fire, and the story that proves true leadership isn't about titles. It's about the courage to do what's right. Manspace Nation, please give it up for my guest today, the one and only Sidra Cee Cee Strong. Yes.
What an introduction. Thank you for that. Thank you so much.
You are most welcome. Thank you for taking the invitation and being a part of the show. But I do have some questions for you right off the bat, because I also went into the military, but I didn't go straight out of high school. I went to college first. And then I said, this college life isn't for me. Then I'm going to go into the military. But what was it that made you make the decision right out of high school to go into college?
Okay, I wish I had a really great story for you, but it was a dare. A guy in school dared me to join the military.
Wow.
I don't have I come from a military family. My father was in the military, my brother, uncles. I saw that life, but it was a dare, Russ. I wish I had a better story for you.
I went through that kind of myself. My grandfather was Navy. My aunt, she was Coast Guard. My dad was military, Army, and he made a career of it. He was the only one that really made a career of it. And I'm like, I'm not doing this. I don't want to do this. I'm going to college. I'm going to do other stuff. I'm going to get into radio. I'm going to sit there and host the late night smooth jams. That's my goal, right? I'm not going out there. Left, right, left, and it's not for me. And next thing you know, a couple of years later, there I am in that green uniform. And I was like, yikes, what happened there? But how was your experience overall with the military? Because I know a lot of times for men, especially Black men, and times have changed now, but if you go back some years, it was a little bit harder for men. But how was it as a Black woman going into the military for you?
You know what? The first thing that popped in my mind was a quick story, and I'll make it very brief. But I was at the airport ready to go. I'm 17. I'm young because I went first for a pre-program between my 11th grade and 12th grade year, just to kind of get a taste and see. They had some kind of program going back then. And I'm in the airport and a guy tries to talk to me. He basically kind of like, hey, can I get your telephone number? And I'm like, no, I'm nervous. I'm young. Well, I get all the way there to Fort Dix, New Jersey, get off of the bus, and I noticed
Mhm.
that this young man was on the bus too.
Oh, wow.
He stands up when the bus stops, and I'm like, this troublemaker, we're going to get in trouble. I don't know what's about to
Yeah.
happen. He gets off the bus, and he's a drill instructor. Needless
Wow.
to say, I had an interesting push up fest there shortly after.
I'm
I
sure.
bet you
I
would have
am
given me
sure.
your, yeah, I bet you want to give me your telephone number now. But
Wow.
the overall experience was, and you touched on it,
Mhm,
being a Black man in today's society, or even in the military as well. I know it
mhm,
comes with challenges, but as a Black woman, I always say it's a double whammy, and that's no slight to Black men. But
yeah,
you got to be a little bit tougher. You got to be a little bit stronger.
mhm,
You got to do a little bit more. And just
yeah,
because they're like, what does she bring to the table? But I can't say that my experience was a bad one. It was a
mhm,
lesson in growth,
yes,
structure. I had already had
mm,
discipline at home. That enhanced it. And what it did is it made me more aware. It was the preparation launch for law enforcement because I was already thinking about
wow,
guns and, watching the hands
yeah.
and the safety part. So I had an overall good experience. That one was humorous, but for the most part, it grew me up, as my grandmother would
Yeah.
say.
So that kind of brings me right into my next question, because how was that transition from the military into law enforcement? Like what said, hey, this is my next career path?
Okay, so this is going to be a lesson in a bunch of funny stories. I didn't want to be 5-0.
Okay.
My dad worked in the court system. Yeah,
Mhm,
unfortunately, I lost my brother to a trucking
mhm,
accident. In my early 20s, it was right at the time I was a UPS driver. I had come
mhm,
back home from the military, and now it's like, okay, what else do I want to do? I got my
right,
cosmetology license. I dabbled in some of everything, but
mhm,
he dared me to fill out an informational card about
mhm,
joining the military. And I was like,
mhm.
Dad, I don't want to do that. I'm good.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
the lady says to me, you walk like you're in the military. I said, no, I'm not. She said, but this would be perfect for you.
Mhm,
And I kind of filled out the card, didn't think much about it. And then the day before I was to go down for the processing, the initial processing in as a deputy sheriff, I found that envelope and was like, okay, it's Friday, tomorrow's Saturday.
yeah.
I threw some stuff in a bag, and honestly, the rest is history. And 30 years later, here I am.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So as a leader and a mentor, what would you say to people that want to get into law enforcement?
Do it.
Mm,
And here's why.
yeah,
Even with some challenges, even with, backlash, even with
mhm,
public dislike, even, there is such a
mhm.
need for a shift. People are crying about the very thing that they fear.
Yeah.
And I don't mind telling my age, I'm 54 years old, and I've already been able to retire. I have a good
Mhm,
foundation and a pension and,
mhm.
a roof over my head. Those are all blessings. But
Right.
if people are even considering being in law enforcement, give it a shake, give it a shot. It is
Yeah.
totally opposite from what people in the streets are like. I would never want to work for law enforcement, but you want to see change. How do you
Right.
get to change unless you become part of the solution? And so many
Mhm.
good people don't become law enforcement officers. You get the typical
Yeah.
kind of look of what a law enforcement officer should be, but the people really doing a lot of the work don't
Yeah.
fit that narrative. And those who
Yeah.
have the experience, like growing up from the street, they even can bring and enhance and infuse even more because they have compassion and respect and understanding.
Yeah.
Punishments need to fit crimes, but the
Of
people who
course.
are enforcing those laws need to be mature in how they operate. It's not just a bravado, I'm wearing a badge and a gun and a
Mm,
gun belt.
right.
You got to also use that brain power. So I would push them to it. Like, go for it. And then
Yeah.
stay within the integrity once you graduate the academy.
Now, after serving 3 decades, what's the most important leadership lesson that you may have taken from the law enforcement?
The most important leadership lesson is, as sad as it is to say, I would have to say that it's remaining within what you learned in the very basics in school.
Mm,
What are some of the first things that we're taught? Say please, say thank you.
right.
There's a consideration of
Respect.
sharing with other people, respecting, not
Hmm.
you speaking ill to, for me anyway, and I'm sure you may have grown
Right.
up, especially if any Southern infused upbringing, is that
Yes.
you respect your elders and you respect other
Hmm.
people. It I learned that as long as I stayed within what I knew growing up and
Hmm.
took that into the uniform, that was the best
Hmm.
leadership lesson ever. Of course, I learned the skills. I learned how to, I could already shoot a gun. I'd already known
Hmm.
about that. But of course, I learned all those skills.
Right.
But the biggest thing was remaining in truth and doing the right thing. It's just that simple.
Hmm. Awesome. Well, we are going to play a quick game, and this is just for our audience to get to know you a little bit better.
Okay.
And our game is called Lightning Round. Lightning Round. So, with Lightning Round, I'm going to ask you some questions. You're going to say the first thing that comes to mind. You got 60 seconds. You're going to hear some music in the background. I'm going to make sure the music is not too loud. And then we're going to go from there. So, let me know when you're ready and we will get started.
I'm ready.
All right, here we go. Oh, wait a minute. No music. There it is. There we go. All right. Coffee or tea?
Coffee.
Morning or night?
Morning.
Favorite color?
Burgundy.
Mm. Sweet or salty?
Both.
Cats or dogs?
Definitely dogs.
Summer or winter?
Winter.
Okay. Sunrise or sunset?
Both.
Favorite comfort food?
Kettle potato chips.
A good book or a good movie?
A good book.
Texting or calling?
Texting.
Favorite place to visit other than where you live now?
Ooh. Anything by water.
Awesome. And that is Lightning Round. And we are, whoop, I was trying to replay there. We're going to stop that. But we are going to take a quick break and we will be back. But first, we got to tell Manspace Nation about our sponsor. And Manspace Nation, you already know who our sponsor is. It is none other than Manscaped. Gentlemen, and the brave partners who love them, let's talk about landscaping. No, not your lawn. We're talking about personal property maintenance. Introducing from Manscaped, the Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra, the only tool that makes trimming your hedges feel like upgrading your sports car. With precision blades, skin-safe technology, and a light so bright you could land a plane. This thing doesn't just mow, it glides. So say goodbye to nicks, snags, and that terrifying moment when your clipper sounds like it's eating your furniture. Listen, guys, use our code TMSP20 and get 20% off your first order and free shipping. Because if it's free, I'll take 3. So fellas, if you want your front yard to look well presentable, then get the Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra from Manscaped, because your body deserves curb appeal too. Man, Space Nation, we are back with the incredible Cee Cee Strong. Now, your book, Betrayal and the Badge. I've heard you on stage before, and you've shared your story, and it's such an incredible story, and is why I had to bring you in. But could you share with the Man Space Nation just a little bit about the book and your journey to writing that book?
So the book is Betrayal and the Badge. It's one of four. I'm currently
Mhm.
working on Spilling the LT, and then they'll be Back Against the Wall and Destiny Activated. Those are
Wow,
coming. But
awesome.
what Betrayal and the Badge is my journaling and thought.
Mhm.
I didn't want to wait to give information out there to people who were probably dealing with some of the things that I had dealt with. So, in the middle of writing Spilling the LT, I was just like, I got to get this out there. But there's so much to put in this book. Let me just get a
Mhm.
snippet of what the overall, a teaser, if you will.
Right.
So, uh, long story short, in October of 2021, I was marched into the office of my commander and placed under an investigation and told that I was being
Mhm.
transferred from my position. I wasn't to return to my office. There was no paperwork given to me. And understand, I was a unit commander myself. So I was used to
Right.
placing people under investigation, and all of the
Right.
things that should have been checked didn't happen. Chock full of lies. A case takes a year, then they find the settling. They found me guilty.
Oh,
All while
wow.
I'm fighting it and I'm going through the
Mhm.
steps and I'm recording videos and I'm speaking about this didn't happen. I didn't do this. This is
Right.
all fabricated. When that case crumbled and I started presenting documents that were shattering the foundation of that case, they placed the
Mhm.
second case on me. So I'd
Mm.
already received the discipline from that first case and now I'm fighting it. They put a second case. That case crumbles the same day they interview me. My
Wow.
level of documentation shattered it right out of the gate.
Yeah.
Fast forward 4 years later, in April, in all this battle and struggle, I actually win my arbitration. And it's found that I
Mhm.
was disciplined without just cause and that my contractual rights were violated.
Yeah.
But it was a struggle
Yeah.
because initially you're just blindsided. You know, imagine you're getting up, going to work like you normally do
Yeah.
every day. And then you're sitting and eating a sandwich. And I keep referring
Mhm.
to the sandwich when I speak about this because I'm sitting there
Mhm.
eating a turkey sandwich. And I went from turkey sandwich in my office
Mhm.
to now a small little computer in a corner of a totally different building that I used to work in.
Wow.
So it sent me backwards. And
Right.
now people are asking questions like, how did you tumble?
Right.
And all I could say is, this is all a lie. Well, yeah, sure. You got 20 people that are saying differently. But
Right.
when you find enough people willing to lie, especially if they can make me look bad and then it
Mm.
eradicates whatever I gave them, discipline, accountability.
Right.
It's my life in a derailment of my career,
Mhm.
shattered.
Wow.
Um,
Wow.
you're on national television, you're a drill instructor, you've trained people before to do what you're doing.
Right. Right.
And then to come from that to all the way down to zero
Mhm.
because of political backlash.
Right.
The sitting sheriff at the time had been my sergeant 17 years prior and had made a racial statement that he shouldn't have made.
Mhm.
I ended up being interviewed by him. And then fast forward, my husband runs for sheriff. How dare he?
Wow. Yeah.
And so it was a revenge from so many years before, but
Mhm.
masked as if, although this sheriff's name was throughout my entire case, it was like, well, no, he didn't have anything to do with this. This was all these people complaining. But it's
Right.
all was found and deemed to be a lie. So Betrayal in the Badge was birthed from many journals, many sleepless nights. And it is now my platform to say,
Mhm.
like your question earlier, would you recommend law enforcement to someone? If you look at it like this, Russ, I had a stellar career. It was interrupted, but then it was found that interruption never should have happened. So why would I change how I feel about that career?
Right. So a lot of times I think people want to focus on how it impacted you, but how did this overall impact your family as well? Because you mentioned your husband running for sheriff, your children. What was the impact on your family with this?
I think that they saw what was normally a strong, resilient bounce back. I can remember my husband saying, "Okay, this is hitting you hard, but I don't care if you get up on this Saturday morning, shower
Hmm.
and put on clean pajamas and go grab the remote.
Yeah.
You're not letting this beat you because that's not who you are." It was crazy because it was right in the middle of the campaign, and I think that was
Hmm.
meant to derail him as well.
Right.
But actually, he did very well. There were 9 candidates. He came in third out of 9 candidates. And this is
Mhm.
someone who has never campaigned for any type of political
Yeah.
office. He's just that guy. When I tell you he's that guy, of course, because I
Yeah.
married him, right, Russ? He's that guy. But he checks all the boxes of a law enforcement officer that has the
Hmm.
compassion, the respect. He's worked
Right.
assignments from all the way down with kneeling with children up to
Hmm.
kicking in the doors and doing the grunt work.
Yeah.
It impacted him in that he had to see his wife go through that, but was still successful in a campaign
Hmm.
because I always say we're built different. I tell him that. It's like
Hmm.
we're built different. We're those weirdos that are just gonna keep going even when right up the signpost up ahead says turn
Yeah.
back. My kids, I put on a decent front for them, but they weren't buying it.
Hmm. Right.
And a story that I've never shared actually is my own child was impacted in all of this, but he, as an
Hmm.
adult, that hasn't come out just yet, but I can just say he's doing some amazing things. And it's
That's
another
awesome.
lesson in resilience. But overall, my family was impacted because they saw the hurt and the pain and the betrayal
Hmm.
and how I went through that, knowing that she's still going, but
Right.
we know that it hurt her.
Yeah.
So
You could have very easily folded and walked away because trying to beat the system, because the odds were stacked against you. You basically have the whole system trying to go against you. What gave you the courage to step up and fight back?
um for some people who don't know or are not in their faith, they'll say,
Hmm.
"Of course, she said God did it."
Right.
But it's
Right.
true. I have a faith that is unshakable. My
Hmm.
idea, I'd rather follow God and then find out that that wasn't, oh, there is none, than to find out that there is. And I chose not to follow
Yeah.
him. I think it's just me from childhood, honestly, Russ. I was
Hmm.
the girl that was gonna race the boys down the street. They gonna climb the tree, and I was too silly to know when I climbed the tree, you could see up my skirt. Like, come, duh, get out from there, tomboy, like my mom. Um, but I think it's just part of who I am. I did not see that before. Um, I am learning in a new space, even through a lot of leadership in my past.
Hmm.
I'm transitioning into another tunnel that I never knew. Like I'm on this path
Hmm.
of leadership. And now I'm meeting
Yeah.
some really great people. And I hate to do this, but I got to shout out some really great people.
Okay.
I'm in the rooms with the likes of Dr. Tabitha Russell.
Hmm.
I'm in the rooms with the likes of Israel Duran and people who are pushing me to
Yeah.
say, hey, there's more in you than just the law enforcement officer. You
Hmm.
have so much more to offer people. And I attribute it to my last 2.5 years being in a space with some
Hmm.
really great people to say that door that was shut was just another
Yeah.
one that was opening. You just couldn't see it at the time. And I'm seeing that more
Mhm.
and more. The drive came from God. And
Mhm.
then Cee Cee's just one. I'm not, you're going to have to drag. If I can't run, I'm going to walk. If I can't walk, I'm going to jog.
Yeah.
If I can't jog, I'm going to crawl. And if I can't crawl, I'm dragging my body. One of the two, but I'm not going to give up.
When somebody grabs your book, what do you want them to gather from that book? What's the lesson you want them to take away from it?
I want them to know not to wait to speak
Mhm.
about truth,
Mm.
to go into that space of fear. But as long as you know that you're telling the truth,
Mhm.
even if you don't win the battle,
Yeah.
you remain who you truly need to be. And I want to allow people the safe space when they get the book and they grab it to know that they can. Because if you think about it, speaking out even before I knew the outcome
Mhm.
is now a storytelling they can go back to. How would she have known to say this particular thing? And it's in her book, and now that has happened. So it is storytelling and journaling that shows the resilience even when you don't feel resilient. I want them to know that they can no matter what.
What would you say when it comes to leadership is the biggest misconception, especially when it comes to public service?
I think that the you have the authority to.
Mhm.
You have been entrusted in uh, protecting the community, serving the
Yeah.
community. Those are just kind of cliche, protect and serve, but it's the belief that now I have arrived and I don't wear the uniform. The uniform wears me. Let me explain that.
Yeah.
You, as the person being a good person and doing the right thing, wearing the uniform is good for the community and everyone. When the uniform
Mhm.
wears you, everything in your life is tied to that uniform. You're backing it even when it's wrong. You're not checking your partners because that's my guy, so I got to stick with them. And that leads you into
Right.
lying in uniform, doing the wrong things. The misconception of, how would I say, the bravado in uniform, and that the traditional, hey, you've got to be hardcore. You're just the facts, ma'am. It's great for
Yeah.
Adam 12. We're in a new era where people are in a different communication era.
Mm.
And we see what's happening in social media and some of the feuding and fighting. And to jump in uniform and make that worse is the craziest thing in
Mhm.
the world. There's no place for excessive force. Do the job right.
Yeah. That is awesome. So you're a woman that wears many, many, many hats: entrepreneur, wife, mother. How do you stay grounded and balanced throughout all of that?
I don't. I think that it's a lesson, and I need to be busy. It's a part of my personality. It's a part of who I
Mhm.
am, and it's kept me afloat. I love to write, so the book writing,
Yeah.
it's a way to actually now capture it and then share it with the world. I love being a wife, although hey, I
Mhm.
love those fight. I love your podcast, by the way. Some of those topics, I'm like, Eric, look at this. Um, I love it. Love being a mom because I get to see what my influence is. You know, it's
Mhm.
a great influencing outside in the world, but what is the product of your influence internally?
Yeah.
So I love being a mother. Juggling all of that, the entrepreneur, the jerseys and my business and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
It it's one win after the other as I
Mhm.
move the needle forward in every area, becoming a better wife, becoming a better mother, becoming a better entrepreneur, learning to speak and
Yeah.
impact people as I'm speaking. So it's an enhancement to me. So that's how I juggle it, because as long as I got something, the ball's in the air, I'm doing something. I'm moving.
Yeah. You mentioned the jerseys, World University of Jesus Christ.
Yes.
What was the concept behind creating these jerseys?
Because I'm sick of y'all sports folks. I'm sorry. Stay focused. Stay focused. Um, I was at a game, and
Mhm.
some young ladies almost hemmed me up in a restroom at the SoFi
Yeah.
Stadium here in LA.
Yeah.
And they were like, "Where's your jersey?" And they were being playful, but it was annoying to
Right.
me because I'm like, I'm fixing my little plain T-shirt, making
Right.
sure my
Right.
baseball cap is straight before I walk out of the restroom. And
Mhm.
I said, my favorite player's in the stands. He's in the
Mhm.
concession booth. He's playing on the
Yeah.
field.
Yeah.
And they're looking at me like, this woman is crazy. I said, I'm Team Christ. And I walked out of
Mhm.
the restroom. Didn't think much of it, but was drawing a jersey or drawing a t shirt on a piece of paper while my husband and I were watching TV one night. And then I was like, wait a minute, how would I have a Christ on a jersey? And it just went from
Yeah.
there. The V and the V neck for victory,
Mhm.
the color
Wow.
transition of we try to be like him, but we never quite get there.
Yeah.
random
Yeah.
scriptures on the jersey. So it morphed into, wow, this might be an idea. Before you know it, I was sewing a little
Yeah.
baby jersey and created it, and it just went from there.
Mhm.
And it's amazing. You know, a fortune cookie and a jersey. You never know which scripture you're going to
Right.
get.
Yeah. So every jersey has a different scripture. Where do you come up with the scriptures? Is it just what God gives you, or is it just you're looking for motivation and you're looking for a scripture that goes along with that motivation, or is
Um,
it something personalized to a person that may order something? Or
well, it's not quite there with the personalization because it's
okay.
random now. The first
Mhm.
300 was Genesis 1:1 in the
Okay.
beginning. So every
Mhm.
scripture has three words from the actual scripture, clothed in strength. Um,
Mm.
God so loved. And
Yeah.
so there's three words, the scripture, and they're basically random now, but the first people who purchased jerseys got the Gideon 300. So the first
Mm.
300 jerseys had the Genesis 1:1, and now they are randomly selected. So you never know
Yeah.
which one you're going to get. I actually set the tone on the specific jerseys in answer to your question of
Mhm.
from my actual Bible devotion. Wow,
Mhm.
that's about, wearing armor,
Yeah.
clothed, anything connected to actually wearing garments or God's love for us. That's basically
Yeah.
what inspires it.
That is so awesome. Where can they find these jerseys?
WJC1,
Okay.
World University of Jesus Christ, but the website is wujc1.com. And it's just
Mhm.
those letters, WUJC1, the number one.com.
Awesome. Manspace Nation, make sure you go check that out and get on those jerseys because we want those to sell out completely. So ahead, you mentioned the other books. What else is next for you?
Um, Campaign wife. That takes up a lot of that space.
Yeah.
What's ahead for me is I am actually now working with corporations to
Mhm.
redesign operational leadership, one
Yep.
organization at a time. That's my own plug for the Cee Cee Strong Corporation, by the way. But I am working currently with corporations to help them navigate the dysfunctions within their organization that lead to what
Okay.
happened to me.
Yeah.
So I am currently working with a great company, an awesome group of
Mm.
people, and I have a couple of other clients in that same space and arena to help them use what I gave to LASD, but took back
Mhm.
with me when I left. You don't want to use my
Yeah.
good intellectual property? I'm keeping it. So it's actually helping people to avoid what I've gone through, but from the space of the executive level within
Yeah.
corporations.
So you mentioned being a campaign wife. So your husband is running for sheriff again currently, yes?
Yes, he decided to give it another go. Joy.
So I kind of, I don't have any personal experience on that side of it, right? Um, but what is it? Because I've seen it on TV and how the family is affected on the back end. How has your role in the campaign played out?
Um, I think the first thing that popped in my head when you asked that question was those who know me know me. So
Yeah,
they have been able to spread the message of, yeah, Cece's not who y'all are thinking. You know, she won that case because she's one of those that's not going to back down. And
yeah, yeah,
I am I'm a stickler
mhm,
for integrity.
yes,
So sometimes it gets me in trouble because I'm like, I could get things wrong. I mean, I'm never going to say that I've never lied about something. You know, I can
mhm,
publicly say as a
right,
kid and even growing up, you do some things you don't want to tell mom and dad
of
about.
course, yeah, yeah,
But I think in supporting him and being a voice as an officer as well, I'm not just speaking
mhm,
from a wife's space. I'm speaking from 30 years of experience seeing what's wrong
mhm,
and a full circle proof that, hey, this is wrong and this is how you can grow. My support of him is you're the guy. I'm just the lady, arm candy, if you will, whatever you want to call it.
mhm,
But there's also that sounding board for him. in a
Yeah.
campaign, he gets to decompress with someone who understands. So my role is his, like it is in anything that he does and in life,
Hmm.
I'm his back. I got your back. Like I'm behind him swinging while
Yeah.
everybody, he's trying to be calm. And I'm like, no, you don't get to do him that way. So I'm his backbone. That is
That's
my
awesome.
role. And that shifts according to what he wants at any
Mhm.
given time. He would say different, like, no, she's not gonna
Yeah.
listen to me. But yes, I am I am his support and his backbone in this process. I was then, even when I was hurting, but I can
Yeah.
show up even stronger now that I've had the win. And I'm
Awesome.
working toward healing.
So I'm going to give you the keys to a time machine.
Okay.
You have the opportunity to go back and visit your younger self. What would you tell yourself? What advice would you give yourself?
Um, the first thing that popped in my mind, I didn't want to share, but I'm going to.
Okay.
Ignore the colorism. Your color is
Mm,
beautiful.
yes.
And that unfortunately came from my own sister.
Hmm.
We could have a whole talk on the colorism thing. But
Yes.
and also you are beautiful, but not bragging in that. But I didn't
Mhm.
think so because of
Mhm.
that other craziness.
Right.
And that you are amazing, beautiful, and powerful beyond measure is my mantra to
Yeah.
myself. I would repeat that to that little girl every time she fell asleep so that she knew that everything was going to be okay.
That is so awesome. So before we get out of here, please share your social media handles, your website, and where everybody can find you, follow you, get more information about you, get your book on top of it, and stay up to date with the upcoming book releases.
You can find everything from me at ccstrong.com. That is my website. I am on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn, and something else I'm leaving out. But I am on all the social media platforms under either Cee Cee Strong or at I am Cee Cee Strong. You can find the book on Amazon currently, and it is being uploaded right now for audio. So it'll be available on
Awesome.
audiobook very soon. So tap in and connect with me. And of course, the jerseys, once again, wujc1.com. Cee Cee Strong is the best way to contact me, ccstrong.com.
Oh,
And I have to say, the Man Space podcast, hat tipped. I'm watching.
thank you so much. Thank
I'm
you so
taking
much.
notes. It is an amazing platform, but the one thing that I like about it is that you incorporate humor with truth.
Yeah.
And that way you connect to people. We don't use humor enough. And I am sarcastic and jokester by nature. I'm only funny to myself. But
That's what I tell my
watching
wife
it,
every day.
exactly. At least I'm laughing, right? Even if you're not.
Right.
But I enjoy your podcast, and I would be remiss if I didn't actually let you know that. And it
Thank you so
hooked my
much.
attention before I even knew the connection. It was like, well, this is pretty good. I like this. So
Thank you so much. We definitely appreciate that. So, one last thing, and it is called the last word.
And now, the last word.
So, the last word today is to you. What do you feel your legacy will be?
my legacy will be earth-shatteringly resilient.
Yeah.
People will know that no matter what, that crazy lady would not stop. She didn't care if she lost, which I have friends, acquaintances, people along the way who are now whispering, coming back, like, hey, I want
Yeah.
to talk to you. Well, you didn't want to talk to me then. But a forgiving person. I put it in its box. My legacy will be the idea that no matter how big your Goliath, find the David within you.
Wow. That is so awesome. Man Space Nation, one more time, thank you so much. Cee Cee Strong. Make sure you check out her website, ceestrong.com. Make sure you go out, get the books, get the jerseys, go out there, follow her on social media because this lady has a lot to tell. And matter of fact, what tea are you drinking? Because a lot of times you like this, I watch and see you on social media when you're spilling the tea. So what tea are you drinking today?
You know what? I have learned to make them myself. So my
Okay.
latest one is bay leaves,
Hmm.
cloves, like literally dropping the little crumbs of
Yes.
cloves in
Yeah.
water, bay leaves, and a stick of cinnamon. And it's supposed
Okay.
to be really good for internal. And then I'm also doing not tea, but the golden milk.
Good
And
golden
I'm
milk. Yes.
just reading up on stuff that is better for my health because I am in my 50s and I don't want to take
Mhm.
medication for anything. So
Very
you
true.
usually see
Very
me
true.
when I'm sipping my tea. It's
Yes.
probably like chamomile or the oolong.
Mhm.
And
Yes.
now I'm making them myself.
I love a good oolong tea. I've been over here during the breaks, and I actually have green tea and hibiscus in here, so in
Ooh,
my cup.
hibiscus is
So
good for you. It is very
yes,
good for you.
yes,
I love it.
yes. But once again, Cece, thank you so much for spending time with us here. Manspace Nation, we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be back with our wrap up.
Breaking news. Breaking news.
Good evening, folks. Big Les here, bringing you breaking news from WTMS TV. We're closing in on the final weeks of 2025. While Russ and I take some time to enjoy the holidays with our families, the Man Space podcast will be rolling out some of the best and funniest moments from the past year. And we're not stopping there, much like my hairline. On New Year's Eve, we're serving up the very best of our food alerts, so don't miss out. We'll be back next year with all new episodes. From the WTMS TV studios, I'm Big Les. Happy holidays, everybody.
Breaking news. Breaking news.
As we do each week, we like to close the show with just a little bit of inspiration. The word of the day is courage. And you see, courage isn't the absence of fear. If that were true, most of us would consider being courageous while we're asleep. Real courage is what rises up in spite of fear. It's the voice that tells you to try again. It's the steady hand that reaches for the next step. And sometimes in that shriek voice that you hear, okay, it'll be fine, when that spider makes its uninvited appearance in your bathroom. You see, the truth is, courage rarely looks like a movie. As cool as it may seem, it's not a dramatic slow motion walk with explosions going off in the background. More often, it looks like people making everyday decisions that push them forward to something better. Courage is the mother that applies for the job she's convinced she's unqualified for. Courage is the student that raises their hand even when their voice shakes. It's the employee who says, "That's not right," when it would be easier to stay silent. And yes, it's even the person who decided to check their bank account on Monday morning after a long weekend. We all have moments when bravery feels out of reach. Life throws challenges, doubts, and occasionally a plot twist that makes you wonder if you actually walked into somebody else's story. Yet, down deep, courage is there, waiting. Sometimes you just have to coax it out, just like bribing a toddler to put their shoes on. Here's the thing that's beautiful. Every time you choose courage, no matter how small the act is, you strengthen it. It grows quietly. It grows consistently. And one day you'll look back and realize how far that courage carried you. So today, choose one tiny courageous thing. Make the call. Say the truth. Take the risk. Step into the moment that scares you just enough to make you stronger. Because Manspace Nation, courage doesn't always roar. Sometimes it just whispers, go ahead. You've got this. Courage is rarely this big, grand gesture. It's more often the quiet decision to step forward, even when the ground feels a little uncertain. It's the steady, deliberate choice to honor what matters more than our fear. And in the end, courage definitely does not promise an easy path, but it does promise a true path. So all I can say, Manspace Nation, is stay true to yourself. And with that said, you know what happens every Monday night? This episode and every episode of the Manspace podcast airs 2 days before it airs to the rest of the public. So on WTMSTV.com, you get the Manspace podcast 2 days early, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. And then on Thursdays, you get back to back to back to back on Throwback Thursdays on WTMSTV.com at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. And since my co-host, he is still out and hanging with a squirrel, that's the last update that we got, that he's there with that squirrel. Doesn't, oh my goodness, he's got a bottle of Jack. Oh my goodness, Les. So I have to say his line for him. On that note, we out of here. Thank you for listening to this episode of The Man Space.
Whichever platform you listen to us on, make sure you subscribe and don't miss a show.
Remember to keep up with all the Manspace updates on our website, themanspacepodcast.com.
And you can follow us on Instagram at ManspaceNat1.
Until next time, Manspace Nation, he's Les, I am Russ, and we are out
of here.
How do you stay grounded and balanced throughout all of that?
I don't.